G'day everybody, Sean from Bourbon Brothers here, looking at our second sip of the month. Now, Bourbon Brothers, we did have a little bit of a slogan saying there's so much more to bourbon than Jack and Jim, but I'll tell you what, sometimes you just can't look past the originals. And today we're going to be looking at the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Rye. So out of the Jack Daniel's distillery by Brown-Forman, comes in at 45% alcohol by volume. There's no age statement on it. Its mash bill is a 70% rye, 18% corn and 12% malted barley. Now, Jack Daniel's created this first new grain bill in 100 years for the creation of their rye whiskey. The Single Barrel Rye is Jack Daniel's third rye release. They started off with an unaged rye in 2012, followed by a rested rye in 2014, and then introduced the Single Barrel Rye that we're tasting today. Now, according to Jack Daniel's, the whiskey uses the same cave spring water from the Jack Daniel's Hollow and the proprietary yeast that's been used in the distillery's 150-year-old Tennessee whiskey recipe. The whiskey is aged in the upper regions of the barrel house where it's exposed to increased temperature variations. The Single Barrel Rye is at least 4 years old based on the lack of age statement on its label, although the company officially hasn't called it as such. The bottle we're tasting today is from barrel number 1812265 from Rick number L7, and it was bottled on the 20th of February 2018. Let's give it a shot. So I get quite a fruity sort of cherry and banana up front and a bit of sort of custard note, and then you get that rye spice in the background of it. It's enjoyable, it's not overpowering, it is enjoyable. It's not a big heavy assaulting rye on you, but it's definitely an enjoyable nose. So you get that heavy dose of banana up front, and then you get that sort of caramel and cherry coming through. What's really enjoyable here is you get a nice buttery mouthfeel on it. It settles down into that oak and rye spice blend. It's straightforward, but it's very, very satisfying. And you sort of do get that Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 flavour and the characteristics in the background there, but it's very own beast. So the finish, you get that rye spice and oak with lasting notes of cinnamon and vanilla and a medium length finish on it. We know that rye has really increased in popularity over the last few years, and a lot of them come from MGP's base rye product, including the High West, which we've already reviewed. And even some of the Kentucky majors like Woodford and Jim Beam are releasing new rye whiskies quite often. In Jack Daniel's case though, the Single Barrel Rye is quite unique, and it's really interesting, especially for its sort of young age on it. So I hope you've enjoyed this, quite a fruit-forward rye product. I hope you're enjoying your journey with Bourbon Brothers. Cheers. Now, according to Jack Daniel's, the whiskey uses the same water. We know that rye's popularity has really increased over the last few years, and most of them that's been used in the distillery's 150-year-old Tennessee whiskey recipe.